Hello, and welcome to this Masterclass series on supercharging your aviation marketability. I'm Christine, your host, and I'm based in New York, and I'm introducing you to Heidi. She's sharing with us about how we communicate our energy and why it's so important in our life and career. Hello, Heidi.
Hey, Christine, it's so great to have you interview me. I was just saying earlier on how nice it is because I've been interviewing other people the whole time. So yeah, it's a real treat to be interviewed. And before we start, can we please show the audience your amazing view that you showed me? Because you're in New York and it's amazing.
Yeah,
can we just swing the camera around? Can you show it?
Yeah, this is part of my view.
Look at that. Oh God, it's so great to see the view and the sunshine. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Lovely day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for interviewing me today as well. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to communicate with you.
Thank you.
So why did you put this masterclass series together? What got you to this point that you felt like you wanted to share with others your talent?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've been running my own course, not for that long. I had beta testers first, and I'm in my second run of my course with students. And I've been coaching as well. And the number one thing that people have been coming to me for either coaching or the biggest question that I'm asked, people will write to me directly is, Heidi, how do I get a job? And it's not an easy question to answer. There are so many facets to sort of consider. And I know how important it is for people to find a job because I've been there, especially during the pandemic. And it's more about, more than just having a job. It's about having self-worth. It's about feeling you can support yourself. It's about being able to show up, and I'm sort of trying to work on my pride, but I was ashamed because I had to move out of where I lived and bunk in with my boyfriend basically. And he said, come on, Heidi, just get over yourself. It's not a big thing. And I was like, it is a big thing to me, and everybody has that kind of thing that makes them feel ashamed. But for me, I went through so much stuff where I just lost that ability to be able to work. And it wasn't just that, it kind of spilled into my whole life. And I just felt really shitty for so long. And I felt so bad that I went and, invested in a mentor to really help me kind of shift into a better space, which effectively was really tackling my mindset. And that's when my life really started to change for the better. So for many reasons, I'm grateful for the pandemic to have made it so difficult for me to get to where I am now. But to answer the question, the Masterclass series, again, I understand the importance of being able to find a job. And so many people write to me and I can really see how amazing they are. I can see their potential, but it breaks my heart when people are doing the same thing over and over, or they're lacking in confidence, whatever it is, and it stops them from getting the job that they deserve. And I thought, rather than speak from my own area of expertise, I do that a lot in sort of videos on Instagram, but I thought how great it would be to collaborate with a whole range of experts to speak from their area of expertise. And I've interviewed people like, it was a great interview with a voice coach who she works with high court judges, she works with Hollywood stars, and she was saying how, particularly in interviews, this is so important, that what our voice reveals about how we're feeling. And, we really project a lot of that, through our voice. And so, again, I wanted to bring her in to really speak into that. And I interviewed a lady at Aviation Job Search telling us about how when we submit a CV or a resume for a job that, especially when they receive a large volume of CVs and resumes, that they're actually assessed by a bot, not a human. So to get through that, it has to have a certain amount of keywords to pass that test. And I thought, what a nightmare, but how great that, their free gift, for example, is offering everybody a free assessment of their CV to make sure that your CV makes the grade. And so again, it's been incredible how, even putting this together, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, I think, so far. But how generous people have been with their time and their, wanting to really support this cause and understanding how difficult it's been for us all in aviation. And it's just been a really humbling experience to finally have brought this to fruition and sort of get it out there to hopefully support people. So yeah, it was quite a long answer to a question, but
That's
yeah.
quite a journey that you're on, and the pandemic has affected even those of us that have been able to work through it.
Yeah.
The most sane people, it's had quite an impact. So more so for you, obviously, but like you said, it's a good situation that it's put you in. It's been a real growth experience. So let me ask you, you got into private aviation. What got you there? What was your background before you became a private attendant?
So I guess I understand why I've done all the things I've done since working with my mentor, but I discovered that as anybody that's working in aviation or in the travel industry in general, we all have sort of various drivers deep in ourselves that, sort of draw us to certain things. And unless we are fulfilling those things, we literally don't feel fulfilled. So when I understood this, it made sense why I've had the life that I've had. And when I discovered that, what's important to us is freedom, connection, travel, and adventure, it made sense that, when I was 17, I started modeling because, again, it fulfilled all of those things. And then from that point onwards, I've been doing something in travel or really connecting and dealing with people. And it kind of, and then bringing it into the private cabin was where I could really kind of hone that into, really kind of creating that connection on a much more intimate level, which again, it's that intimate connection. And I don't mean in a sexual intimate way, but just in an intimate kind of small environment that actually is what I really love to do. And also that's, as human beings, we're wired for connection. And I guess that's something that it feels very fulfilled. I feel fulfilled being able to do that and being able to bring that into the private cabin. And yeah, that's how I've ended up there.
We talk about being able to market yourself in difficult times. Are we still in difficult times right now, especially in your industry?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really interesting. Even when I think we're still in some degree of it, it's kind of in a recovery mode at the moment, but it's definitely on an upward trajectory. And I think that the thing is that I think a lot of it's to do with mindset as well. And I don't know if many people will agree with this, but I had my own experience of this during the pandemic, for example. So when we start to panic, I was in panic mode, I wasn't in a good place at all. And when we get to that place, we go into some level of survival mode. And it's not a good place to operate from. We're not creative, we're just literally surviving. And when I was able to change my mindset with a mentor where I didn't feel desperation anymore, then I approached everything differently. I thought of things differently. And actually, although people can't see this, they really feel it in every interaction we have with people. And when I lost the desperation, that's where suddenly all of the most amazing jobs were coming to me, literally out of the blue. I didn't even have to look for them. And, I was booked 22 days straight. I hadn't worked for 5 months, but I was booked. And I thought, oh my God, and these are well-paid jobs, great clients, the kind of jobs that you want to do, not the shitty jobs that nobody wants to do, but they were great jobs. I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm in these groups where there's still mass hysteria where people are saying, oh my God, I haven't worked for so long, and does anybody know of any jobs? And all of this desperation was coming through. And I thought, wow, I was feeling like this before, but I'm not now. And actually, that is the only difference. I'm not better than somebody else at this, but it's, there are some amazing people out there that should be working. But I believe the reason they weren't is because they were giving off this energy of desperation. And actually, as we know, in dating, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that is desperate towards us, oh my God, we run a mile. Even if they're the most perfect person on the planet. I mean, you and I have had chats about this, but honestly, it's the most, it just feels icky. And it's exactly the same because again, we're creating a relationship with somebody. As soon as we open our mouths to speak with someone or interact with them, it's the same in that respect, that if we have some air of desperation or doubt or doubting that we're good enough, we sort of transfer that feeling to the other person, and they don't know what's going on, but like, no, it just feels icky. And we literally talk ourselves out of a job, and it's just a shame. And I kind of want to change that. So.
Well, that's a good segue into the next question of what is going to make someone stand out so that they do get hired for one of those great jobs?
So this is the thing. So I really believe that it's about creating a connection with people. And this stems from, I've used myself as a guinea pig. So I'm always teaching from my own experience. But I believe since the pandemic particularly, that people are feeling more and more disconnected. Technology is moving on, and people are interacting less and less, or maybe interacting but doing something else at the same time. And it's just a huge feeling of disconnection. So people are desperately wanting to feel something. So if we can create a connection in the interview, and there are various ways of doing that, but if we can create that in the interview, the interviewer will certainly know that we can do that in our job, because an interview technically is a stressful situation. So if still under stress and the other person realizes that, if we can still create a connection and create a feeling, a positive feeling, then it's something that will make us stand out, because they will remember us. Because most people go into an interview feeling, oh my God, and I've got to be perfect. And is this person going to like me? And are they going to try and trip me up? And all of that stuff. And we're really responding then from a place of fear. We start stumbling, and we don't project ourselves in the best way that we probably would do out of the interview, but we want to be able to create that in the interview. And that's the techniques that I teach, where we basically connect with someone also with vulnerability and human to human. They're not a robot interviewing us, they're a person. And one of the jobs that I got last year, I shared this in one of my videos, but when I really created a connection with the lady that was interviewing me, is when she said, okay, Heidi, what are your strengths? And I said, okay, this, creativity and making the cabin look beautiful, that's stuff I really love, because I love being creative. But when I shared my weakness with her, and again, I also believe sharing a weakness is a strength, because you're acknowledging it. And you also just need to show, this is what I'm not so great at, because it doesn't come so naturally to me. But this is what I'm doing to change it. This is what I'm doing to work on it. So that is a strength in itself. But the point is that I'll get there in a minute, is that when I shared with her my weakness, and she said, Heidi, I'm glad you said that, because actually I wouldn't share this with anybody else, but I have the same weakness. That's what I struggle with. And we were like, oh my God. And it created a connection, and it was like a bond that, I don't work at that company anymore, but we still have that same level of respect and that connection. And when you have that, and it's particularly when you create that in the cabin, that's how you keep your job. That's how you create a calm experience. It's all about creating an experience. So I believe that being able to create an experience is what is going to make you stand out from the get-go. So of course your CV and resume needs to be aligned, but then as soon as you have an opportunity to create an interaction with somebody, create a connection, that's where you can really stand out. And it's not that difficult, but people just need the tools to be able to do it. But yeah.
Speaking of creating an experience and the connection with your client once you do get hired, I've visited with you many times over the years, and I know that when you come to New York, you will spend hours preparing to get that aircraft ready, so that when your client walks in, it's their world. It's so personalized. So can you talk a little bit about your experience and what your process is for creating that connection and that experience in flight?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess I deal with many customers I've never met before. So I try to do as much research in advance as possible to certainly find out what it is that might be relevant to them, that they might appreciate. And even if I don't have that prior information, because sometimes we don't always get that, I try and think, okay, well, what equipment do I have to work with? Because that's a key thing. And then not panicking about if I had a plan, and then say, for example, I don't have a fruit bowl on board. In fact, this is what I was teaching my my students last night. We were talking about creating the welcome setup on board. And I was just saying that, you might have bought fruits and you are looking for a fruit bowl, but you don't have one. It doesn't matter. you know, we can use a plateau, we can use a round or a square or a rectangle, and just create that height and then kind of have that flow. You know, we don't have to be sort of rigid and then panic about, you know, that we don't have that. So it's really, first of all, creating that wow factor, because that's what people, and I teach from I was going to say 5 senses, but actually 6 senses. So, you know, we go taste, touch, smell, you know, all of that stuff, the kind of normal stuff you'd expect. But I also bring in everything that I've been doing with my own mentor, for example, where it's that 6th sense where you create an experience, a feeling, because, you know, I'm always saying that people will never necessarily remember what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And a part of that is from when they first get on board, how you interact with that person, that energy that you bring, and how to actually set that within yourself and project that. Because the wonderful thing is that when you bring solidity and confidence with you into the cabin, and immediately it actually calms down the passenger, no matter what they bring with them, or no matter what kind of day they've had, and it actually helps them to be calm. And then guess what? We have a much easier flight, because immediately, if they feel calm and safe and at home, you know, they're less likely to be upset about things or worried about things or stressed. And then that makes our flight a lot easier. And even if something untoward does happen, it doesn't matter, you know, that they're already calmer, that they're going to be able to accept what's going on, because we've already created that connection from the beginning. And then, you know, as part of my course, I'm also sharing all of my mistakes. And one of my mistakes I made on board was dropping a whole plate of food on the floor. But at the end of that flight, this is where I realized this stuff was so important, is because that's when that client offered me a job, because of how I made that client feel. I made the client feel safe, because, you know, I'm always explaining that, you know, if, for example, you know, for us, it seems like a massive event that we've dropped something on the floor, because suddenly fear kicks in. We're like, we're going to lose our job, and what am I going to do? And, you know, all that stuff starts to happen. And the thing is, if we deal with it in a really calm way, a solid way, that it's okay, we've got this, so sorry, I'm going to take care of this, is that, first of all, if I hadn't dealt with it like that, and I'd panicked and I'd gone with how many people typically go with it, that would translate to the client subconsciously. They're not thinking it, but subconsciously, they think, okay, my flight attendant is really panicking about this stuff. So they feel uncomfortable. And actually, technically, there's a kind of a small thing going on, but my flight attendant thinks this is a big thing. What if the big thing actually does happen? What if there's an emergency, a medical emergency or a safety emergency? What if this person has to save my life? And they're already panicking about this small thing. So chances are they're going to panic, really panic about a big thing. So therefore, I don't feel safe. Therefore, I don't want this person around anymore. And this, I feel, is the missing key, that is what is going to keep you in a job. Yes, you need the wow factor, but you need this solid foundation to build that on, to really be able to keep your job. And long story short, or short story long, that is a part of creating that experience, creating the welcome. It's not just about what they see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. It's about what they feel. And that is the missing piece, I feel. And it's something that's kept me in jobs for so long. You know, now that I'm almost 51, you know, I'm constantly in demand still. I'm asked to train other people. One company recently I was freelancing for, that had really great feedback, just from what you're talking about, you know, these welcome setups. And they said, can you come in and train our crew? Because, you know, you actually do what better than what our permanent crew do. And I was like, God, I'd be delighted. So I think it's just, it can't just be one or the other. You've got to have both. It has to be a cohesive experience. And I really believe that 6th sense is the missing piece. So yeah.
So in your career and in your travels, what's been your biggest learning experience so far?
Wow. Definitely progression and not perfection. I think sometimes expecting ourselves to be perfect, we're setting ourselves up for a fall. None of us are perfect, and I'm far from perfect. And again, I'm always sharing my mistakes. And I think also mindset. I know people feel it's a bit woo-woo, it's all a bit out there. It's something that isn't tangible. We can't feel it, we can't see it. But I know how life-changing setting our mindset has been for me. And I've seen how life-changing it's been for my students in that first session where we talk about how to really be solid in what we project and how important that is, and actually have them feel like experience of what it feels like. And then they have this aha moment. I feel that, you know, all of that is to do with mindset and how we project, you know, our energy. And that is way more important initially than all of the other external peripheral things. So I've learned that mindset is huge. Mindset is the sort of backbone to everything that we want to do. You know, if we're focused on what we can't do, whatever we focus on, we're going to get more of. So I'm always trying to help people to really just change their mindset, because everything has a counterbalance, right? I'm not saying that, you know, everything's perfect by far, but, you know, on the negative, there's always a positive as well. And if we can focus more on that, we're going to get more of it, just simply because we're focusing on it. So yeah, the mindset is so huge. And also, not to be intimidated, to feel like we can't achieve whatever we put our minds to, because even in creating this masterclass series, I was reaching out to people that I thought, oh my God, like, who am I to be reaching out to these people? And it was incredible, again, creating that connection and really sharing the reason why I wanted to do this, to support the industry. And it was incredible that, you know, these people were like an example. I spoke to Glauca Rossi, who is, she runs the makeup school, her own makeup school, and they taught Charlotte Tilbury before she hit the big time with her makeup. So I spoke to the actual Glauca Rossi that set this up. And I was speaking to her and she said, you know, we're more than happy to support this, because we've trained flight attendants that lost their jobs and they wanted to have another career, to be able to make more money. And she said, I also know how it feels, because back in the 70s, when I started out as a makeup artist, I had to work so hard to get my first opportunity. She said, I had my dream of, I wanted to create a Vogue cover. I wanted to do somebody's makeup and get it on Vogue. She said, I tried for months and months and months, knocking on photographers' doors, and eventually somebody gave me a chance. And she said, you know, I was where you are back in the day, and of course I'd love to give you this opportunity too. And I thought, wow, I was so humbled, because actually we put people on a pedestal, but actually they're humans, and it's just connecting human to human. And it's the same as, you know, I feel people's fear of dealing with ultra high net worth billionaires in the cabin, that they're still humans and they want to feel a connection. And when we start sharing, and it just normalizes, you know. So yeah, again, another long answer for a quick one, but yeah.
It's wonderful that you've created a class to share with everyone and improve their skills and their connections. Tell us about your course and how it differs from others.
Sure. So first of all, I wanted to do something that, because I really value freedom so much, freedom translates to me that I can still travel. So rather than always be in one place, I thought I still want to be able to travel, but still be able to support people. So I developed it as an e-course, so that, you know, all of the lessons are there, and there's lots of videos of me talking to people and showing them how to really connect with people. And then we also hold coaching sessions around each module, because I've seen that certainly when I've been coached and when I'm coaching other people, that, you know, it's such a transformational experience. I don't want it just to be information. I want to make sure there's a transformation. So in these sessions, I'm really able to see what blocks are coming up, what limiting beliefs are coming up, what is standing in the way of them really succeeding in this element of everything that you have to put together to be successful in the role. So I guess those coaching sessions, I'm bringing techniques in that I've invested thousands in myself with my own mentor, but, you know, because I know how life-changing they are, because it's not just about helping people succeed in this role, I also want them to succeed in life. So it's great that my students feel very open where they can share anything with me, and I'm sort of giving them tips on life in general, as well as, you know, this stuff, because it you know, you can't really separate the cabin from life. It's however you're operating there is how we're operating in life as well. So there's such a crossover. So that's what I really love to bring into it, and that's what really fulfills me, to know that people are taking skills away that is actually improving life as well, because it's huge. That's what really affected me deeply, and that's what I want to give to other people, and then I still continue to support them as they're going through their career as well. So yeah.
Well, in addition to the wealth of knowledge that you're sharing with everybody, apparently there's a free gift involved if they sign up for your course. What is that?
Yeah, well, actually, so this masterclass series, it is completely free, and it's going to be screened for 48 hours. So you can tune into whatever interviews you want, as and when. And for anybody that buys the VIP pass on that, it's a super affordable, low price. With that, I wanted to be able to give people, you know, the experience that I've been talking about, this sort of coaching experience that comes with my course. I know not everybody necessarily has the funds to do that, or, you know, the time to do that, but I thought how great it would be to actually give everybody that signs up for that a coaching experience where you can bring anything. It's transformational, because we're really laser beam focused on whatever it is that you're struggling with that's coming up for you, rather than me telling you what you need. You know, you're actually telling me what you're struggling with, and I'll be able to figure out how to get you out of being stuck and help give you some momentum to start moving forwards. And I know it's a luxury that not everybody has access to, but I'd like to give that to anybody that buys that pass, so they can turn up and bring any questions. It's a very safe container, and, you know, I'll be sharing stuff as well. And it's really just to be able to help people get out of feeling stuck, because I know, you know, sometimes it's, you know, it's difficult to sort of get help with that, but that's what I really want to be able to support with, particularly around, you know, getting jobs and how to be more marketable. And people are going around in circles sometimes. So just, you know, I've been there, I've done it, I've made all the mistakes, and how I can see that, how to help you to move forward. So yeah, so that's the free gift that comes with that. Yeah.
Wonderful. So if someone was to take just one action, what do you suggest that should be?
Definitely about looking at and feeling the importance of being able to create connection with people, because I can see that the world in general is going this way. People are needing it more than ever, particularly since the pandemic. And having that skill is something that is truly going to give us longevity in the cabin, and also being able to create relationships and connections in our life, which we never know what they're going to need, but that skill is huge. It's vital in the role as cabin crew, and it's vital in our role in life in general. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what you're sharing with us today and what you'll share in your class can translate across other industries as well. In closing, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think just that, you know, anybody can achieve whatever they want to achieve. And this was the reason I wanted to create this, to give people hope, to know that no matter what situation you're facing, that there are always opportunities, there are always things, but sometimes we just need the tools to be able to do it. And it should be accessible for everybody. So I really hope that, you know, this will inspire people to take action and to move forwards in some way, just to getting that career and getting that job that they want. So yeah.
Well, this is so exciting for you, and I'm excited that I get to be a part of it with you and talk to you about your experience and what you're bringing to the industry. And I hope that everybody who's watching today really enjoyed our discussion, and please stay tuned for more episodes in the future.
Thanks so much, Christine. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.